Welcome to a muzzled chat. Let's kick that off. Why not? This is going to be a crazy episode. I'm going to do my best to address something that was recently said that is weighing on my heart on this very podcast. So it was recently said that folks from other countries are coming here, and they, in fact, in certain situations, are 10 times the worker of American-born workers. That, in fact, they would be preferred over American-born. Personally, I believe there's a lot to address here. There's acknowledgement that needs to be had on why this may potentially have some truth to it in certain situations. And you cannot be so ignorant to make these bold statements, I feel, as an American, without acknowledging the bigger picture. And it is no secret from America's conception that we have been a grave threat to the rulers that be and the evildoers of this world around us. It's wild. It's something I was going to even touch on more so in the end, but I feel like diving into it right now. As I've been going more and more through the Bible and tuning into that amazing Angel Studios show, The Chosen, it has been more clear to me now that we are in fact faced with the very same war, divide, turmoil, flaws, spiritual battles that we in fact face now. It's the same then, it's the same now. It literally has been the same battle throughout human history. And the Bible speaks of this battle, this spiritual battle. And to me, it really just highlights the importance, above all, that we seek relationship and drawing nearer to our loving Creator, our Heavenly Father, and the beautiful example of Jesus Christ Himself. Above all else, I believe it's this human failing as to why we've perpetuated. I mean, evil, Satan is here. You can see his handiwork all around us. And back to the American people, that's the very point I want to get at. So since Americans in America was such a grave threat to these evildoers, we have been target number one since its conception. But let me ask you this. Why is it these supposed intelligent individuals from these other countries want to come to this great nation? Why is it? It's not due to the fact they can outwork Americans. It's due to the fact, you know what, let's hold the phone there. So the guilt I have regarding that statement over foreigners, over American workers, I want to apologize for not speaking up. To each and every one of you, especially the blue-collar workers of this country, that level of arrogance and playing that back boils my blood to an extent, and it saddens my heart because I feel it saddens my heart in a sense that it just becomes more proof as to how freaking brainwashed we are. How limited scope thinking we have in fact become. Because yeah, sure, you could look in this very moment and maybe, in not even maybe, I'd guarantee in some certain situations, that statement to an extent has some truth, right? But I believe it is entirely insulting to all the hardworking, especially the blue-collar workers throughout America's history that built up this nation to be so great that even in this decline, as we are infiltrated, intelligent individuals from other countries still want to come here to the land of opportunity. I am sorry for not standing up to that ignorance. And I believe that is entirely insulting to the American workers and also the military and the service members throughout history of this country and what they have bled and fought and even died for. That we are obtaining, that we have been blessed and handed down. We have been the weak link, it seems, to this country. Now, why may this be? Well, it's no secret. Look at the slow infiltration on every level we've covered on this podcast, from our education systems, indoctrinations, from Hollywood, sports, our government, the war machine, news. We are so blessed. You know what? I'm going to kill this music now. It's been going on long enough. We are so blessed to be in a time that we can actually access information without having to rely on just the radio or just the talking heads. And evil has fought in tooth and nail to monopolize and control all the information. I've tried exposing it even right here. This ban or this strike, in fact, from YouTube is extremely detrimental to even this podcast and helping get the message out there. It's so dangerous because it seems as Google now, in regards to my podcast hosting site, is teaming up with YouTube. So now versus having things sent through Google, it's being sent through YouTube, which in fact clearly has already established, built out algorithms to weed out actual truth as misinformation. So a lot of apps we may be losing coming up here in the near future because I couldn't even set up the link to stream the podcast, which is totally different than uploading video content to YouTube. It would just be podcast audio only. Well, we're banned. Right now we have a ban and we're blocked from doing that. And I've taken a whole bunch of screenshots, but that's not what we're really going to dive into on this episode here today. I just want to give praise, lift up the American worker. Because I would venture to say, versus what was stated, Americans have been 10 times the workers of the majority of these other individuals in these other countries up to this point, and still today. But war has been waged on us Americans for a long time now. We've been demoralized. Our health has been diminished. We've been brainwashed, manipulated, gaslit. They're every war tactic in the freaking book. The way that they've even successfully gotten a lot of Americans out of fear not to speak out because their skin pigmentation, and it's like they owe something to other people in this world due to their difference in skin pigmentation, is nothing other than demonic at its root, and it's sick. Jesus was sent here to take out the divide from all of God's children. I'm not going to sit here and feel bad for the body and the skin I was given. It is clear that evil is utilizing that to create the division. And any demonization of skin pigmentation is just that. Downright dirty, evil, and wrong. I don't want to tolerate that here. I don't believe any of us should, ever. Why is it Americans, a vast majority of Americans, are on the brunt of that demonization? What organizations are pushing all of that? Once again, so much comes from these even challenging conversations, which I do have gratitude for. I can see now even more firsthand as to, for example, why Charlie Kirk, in a sense, is wise beyond his years. And it's, I'd venture to say, due to the challenging environments and atmospheres and conversations he's put himself in that has really leveled him up. We all could do better by that. And what do we have to fear? I mean, So in short, I feel the only way what was stated on this podcast has any truth, what it proves, and it should highlight for us, is how we have, in fact, lost a lot of our resilience. We have been poisoned by our own organizations, by our own government, by our own medical institutions, education systems. We've covered a lot of it. So is the solution to bring others in that have that work ethic? Or is the actual solution to rule out the corruption and start creating purebred Americans without the evil, poisonous angles of attack that had been so effective on diminishing our resilience and our abilities? I believe that the latter to be more important to focus on, period. And to those with intellect from other countries that want to come here. So I kind of have already shifted my position on kind of why not, we could benefit from it, to no. It's essentially like running away from your problems. If you have a problem, what's the best? You face it. So I actually find, in a way, what they're doing cowardice, because they, in fact, could end up the solutions to whatever poverty they're trying to run from in their country. So in a huge way, their brothers and sisters right there that they were born next to, they are abandoning when, and you know what? My chimp brain, I have a hard time articulating these kind of things. So luckily we actually queued up, or why do I say we? It's like we, like unmuzzled is a multitude of folk when it's just, it's me and my dogs. That's what it is. So me and my dogs had this queued up for you. Extremely powerful. God, I hope I drove those points home, because I want to breathe light and life back into especially our blue-collared workers that are out there grinding, boots on every single day, whether it's swinging hammers, fixing pipes, doing electrical, even police, firemen. The list goes on, right? That workforce, I believe, to be the very patriotic backbone to this country, and as to why others would even appeal. So it just seemed like such a narrow lens, and it didn't sit well with me. And it left me feeling guilty, an ugly feeling. So that being said, let's dive into this clip here. This is kind of eye-opening. Solid 6 minutes, but it's worth watching.
Some people say that mass immigration into the United States can help reduce world poverty. Is that true? Well, no, it's not. And let me show you why. This gumball represents the 1 million legal immigrants that the United States has taken every year on average since 1990.
Guys, this is so good. Pay attention. I believe this clip you'll want to share far and wide. If I do this episode justice, you'll be sending this episode far and wide. But I want to arm you with as much information and tools at your disposal. We need to build out all the links to assist us in these talking points with our neighbors, to create the momentum to fix all the issues around us and unite. We aren't each other's enemies. Evil is pitting us against each other. And we gotta start seeing past that and see past the freaking brainwashing, the manipulation. I guarantee, even with the breakthroughs I've had, there are extreme levels of manipulation to this day I'm trying to rewire my brain out of. And I can see it with so many individuals, especially ones that haven't done their freaking research. Proof of it is, why are they even speaking out on things when clearly they haven't, like on certain topics, when they clearly haven't done their research? That just goes to show they've been wired and they're running on talking points. It's just foolish, right? And we all do it, just some more than others. And we got to wisen up. That is part of the dumbing down. They've been successful in this freaking country, and we should be excited to break free from that.
Now, who in the world deserves our humanitarian compassion? The World Bank has one measure of the desperately poor of the world. They make less than $2 a day. And how many people make less than $2 a day in the world? Well, let's start with Africa. In Africa alone, there are 650 million people who make less than $2 a day. 650 million. And in India, another 890 million people, desperately poor. China adds another 480 million people, making less than $2 a day. And unfortunately, the rest of Asia has a heartbreaking 810 million people who the World Bank says make less than $2 a day. And finally, there's 105 million of Latin America's population that are desperately poor. All told, the World Bank says there are 3 billion people in the world. 3 billion people who are desperately poor, making less than $2 a day. That's 3,000 gumballs. And every year, we take 1 million and suggest that we've somehow made a humanitarian difference.
You see where he's going with this already? I love how he's using gumballs just to keep people's attention, like I want a gumball type of thing. Brilliant. But stay with it. I'm going to try not to interrupt too much, because we don't want to lose grasp as to really what he's capturing here. It is quite powerful.
Of course, we don't pull our immigrants from these desperately poor populations, do we?
Nope.
These people are too poor, too sick, too disconnected to make it here as immigrants. We tend to pull our immigrants out of the better off poor of the world. And Mexico tends to define the type of immigrant that we bring here, because the plurality of people come from Mexico. And Mexico is poor. How many people in the world live in countries that have average incomes lower than that of Mexico? And the World Bank tells us that that number is these 3 billion plus another 2.6 billion people.
Wow.
5.6 billion people in the world who live in countries with average incomes below that of Mexico.
I tell you what, if we freaking wisen up and rule out corruption, once again, there are experts that state like poverty shouldn't even be an issue in the world we live in today. But it is due to these evil rulers, these globalists, the few. And it just, in what other country other than American, so many other countries speak out that if America falls, the world falls. It's over. It's as if so many are banking on this blessed country to fix things. That's why, disgusted me that I was making a point on an invasion where, couldn't even grasp and wanted to push back once again without doing research. And it was a total beside the point kind of conversation about immigrants trying to like come in. That's a whole separate issue entirely. But once again, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself because this changes the perspective in my eyes profoundly from even the other gentleman's argument on taking intellects from other countries, period.
That's 5,600 gumballs. And so what is it that the elites are telling us? They're telling us that when we take this 1 million immigrants, that we somehow or another are tackling world poverty. And we have to do it regardless of the effect on our unemployed, the working poor, the most vulnerable members of our society, regardless of the effect on our natural resources. Even if we went by the most radical proposals in Washington, which are to actually double our immigration to 2 million a year, which would totally overwhelm our physical, natural, and social infrastructures, we couldn't make a noticeable difference. And we may be really hurting.
That's the thing. Without doing research, you don't even know the implications economy-wise unless you're a freaking expert in that field. Like, you can't even grasp it. So that's why we got to focus inwardly. Just like I can't force my opinions and stuff on anyone. I got to do the work inwardly, and anyone, any other individual that cares more than just themselves will do the work inwardly too, just like we need to do historically the way the infrastructure is, and with our countries the way they are. And then who knows what we could achieve way down the line, hypothetically, if we could in fact get it back to where we, the people, were heard in running the show.
The impoverished people of the world. Because the million that we do take are among the most energetic, often the better educated, certainly the most dissatisfied people that if they did not immigrate would be the agents for change to improve the lot of all the people in these countries.
The agents of change to improve the lot of all these different countries. It's perpetually staying broken, and we're assisting in that by taking the intellects or intellectuals, the ones seeking change. This is very powerful stuff.
The true heroes in the global humanitarian field are the people in these countries who have the wherewithal to immigrate to another country, but instead stay in their countries.
The true heroes have the wherewithal to immigrate, but they stay within their countries because they know they can make a positive difference, have a positive impact. He is not wrong. You could sit here and argue it 7 ways to Sunday, but there is profound truth to what he covers.
To apply their skills to help their fellow countrymen. Yeah. Unfortunately, our immigration system tends to entice these very type of people to abandon their countrymen.
Wow.
The impossibility of making even a dent is actually worse than it looks here. Because last year, when we took 1 million immigrants, these countries added, births over deaths, 80 million more people into the impoverished population.
Wow.
And this year, Congress is bringing in 1 million legal immigrants. And this year, according to the United Nations, these countries are expected to add another 80 million people.
Wow.
And next year, you can be quite sure that Congress, unless stopped by the American voters, will bring in another 1 million immigrants. And these countries, unfortunately, will be adding another 80 million people into these impoverished nations.
I love let it spill. This is brilliant. Just letting it spill over, evoking the response out of the crowd. It's sinking in. So powerful.
We could take 5 million a year, but we'd never get ahead of what's happening in these countries. Not in this century.
Wow.
Don't you see? Immigration can never be an effective or significant way to deal with the suffering people of the world.
Wow.
They have to be helped where they live. 99.9% of them will never be able to immigrate to a rich country. There's no hope for that. They have to bloom where they're planted. The only place that 99.9% of these people can be helped is where they live. Let's help them there.
Brilliant. Very powerful stuff, right? Really even changed a lot how I felt about it. Yeah, the example was given of, what was it, maybe an Indian fella being here for 16 years, paying into our taxes and everything and still not gaining citizenship. I mean, it even changes the thought on that individual. But the reality of it is, once again, like the point I was trying to drive home and I kept steering back to in that conversation is, how in the world are we going to properly assist any country when we can clearly see we have been overtaken? These elites, these globalists, the divide is so grand that clearly there's a hierarchy. It's a two-tiered system now. There's rules for us and they're above the law, right? You can see it. So many of their puppets are whoever they choose is above the law. And these evil Satanists don't want any of these countries to flourish. In fact, the greatest threat to these rulers, it's this. It's what we're trying to do here. Information that they don't have control over. That's their greatest threat. Because through information, at this stage, I mean, they have stated they currently have the technology to control the masses. And you could see a huge part of that with the brainwashing and people with the talking points and not really freeing themselves and healthily question things and healthily doing their freaking due diligence on research. It's a forever work. But once again, the most important work to be had that really sets you free is seeking that relationship with God. It's crazy. Watch Chosen and start applying to everything that's happening there. The indifferences in religion, the spiritual war, essentially, and the arrogance, and how the devil even manipulated minus bioweapons, right? Because these people weren't being influenced like we are with the biowarfare, nor the poisonous food, right? And the epidemic of all these illnesses that are just encapsulating. You could still see how evil would build people up to a point of pride and ego and this worship of self and false gods, to where they didn't, it inevitably even led to crucifying the only perfect man that walked this earth. It's just so much clearer for me. Even with that clarity, do I have the gift of gab? Can I articulate it well enough for you? I don't believe so, but I'm doing my best. And that's what we all should be striving to do each and every day. For tomorrow isn't guaranteed. I'm grateful to be here now in this moment. I literally view what he just went over, not just to be more logical, but more loving. If anything, that should put the emphasis on Americans here in this country to clean freaking house sooner versus later, so we can show up for these other countries and help build out the infrastructures. Actually, not like Democrats are saying, build out democracy. My freaking goodness. The gaslighting and lies. Come on. Actually build things out. Not to even a financial gain, but just out of love for our brothers and sisters in all different countries. We'll just throw it out there. Everything regarding information, regarding everything these days, it's sourcing, it's vetting your sourcing. That is key to live healthy lives, to absorb information that's going to be beneficial and not propaganda. And even a lot of the patriots out there giving decent information are kind of lost souls themselves to an extent. I'm not here to cast stones. It's just you got to be cognizant as to what is truly the best path to take. Wasn't it Jesus that said, I didn't say it would be easy, but it would be worth it? Might that path be the tougher road to go initially? But once you gain God's favor, once you feel his love for you, once you gain that peace from there, yes, even with challenges, you could see with Job and so many individuals biblically that really went through the ringer. Dare I say, those challenges, even for those individuals, are less than the average American's challenges are, because their faith was that strong. It was that clear to them. And there's no comparison. We're pampered in comparison. So it just shows a lot of work to be had. Kind of made this point, but why in the heck is it so many want to push back or show unbelief, disbelief, or even worse, speak out on a particular thing as though they know, once again, without doing their proper research? Why is that? I want to embed that into my being so I can more humbly, quickly to acknowledge and admit right out the gate, you know what? Don't know much about that. I clearly have more research to do. Once again, it's seeking that meekness, that humbleness, such as a child. Frick pride, frick ego. I just see so many of us doing it. We must work on ourselves. Because regarding what I was actually addressing and the flood of invaders illegally entering this country, yes, they are criminals. Do we not have laws? If you enter this country just by crossing that border, you didn't go through any proper channels, you in fact broke laws, which makes you a criminal. Some people seem to have a problem with that. Acknowledging. So wait, do you want to redo the current infrastructure on the laws? Because that is currently how it is. So in you saying, no, I don't see them as criminals, it's like, well, they are based on the current laws. And you have to be able to acknowledge that. Otherwise, you're living in your own sort of like delusion, and that's not good. Sure, there's some, I'm sure, that just want a better life. But you can see the same evildoers that push the pandemic, the same evildoers that are printing money to no end, the same evildoers that are pushing the alphabet mafia, Antifa, just all this shenanigans and lies and propaganda are the same ones funding to try to keep the border open through these other organizations and businesses, like getting money and funding to get bad people here. People that do not share the same value. In fact, some individuals that downright do not care for Americans. And we could play clip after clip. I have some queued up. But once again, why do I need to... People must start doing their own freaking research. That's a problem. Just like a baby. Like, sometimes you could try all you want. You could fly the plane and that toddler just isn't going to eat. Sometimes it just comes down to they'll get hungry enough, they'll eventually eat, right? But there's a difference between adults and toddlers. Do your freaking research. The actual damage that is being done to this country with this invasion of criminals is incomprehensible. You could graph it, you could chart it. I'm sure some people have done a decent enough job, but it's incomprehensible. Did I say that incorrectly? Incomprehensible. Jim Crickets. Struggling with words. Fact. So it's no secret. And my last source showed 80,000, but many are speaking out on 88,000. And that's one is too many. Another 8,000 on... See, this is the problem. We're talking big numbers, and we're used to hearing millions and trillions with debt and all these things, but we're talking about souls. We're talking about individuals. We're talking about freaking children. And there are now over 88,000 children that were trafficked across the border that are now missing supposedly in this country. Totally just went missing. Where are they? It breaks my heart to consider what some of these children may be going through. Knowing what I know, knowing how evil, how infiltrated. You think of Epstein, you think of these elites, and how they tease and play about adrenochrome. It's no secret. Organ harvesting in this world is a thing. And there's big money in it. Watch Sound of Freedom. The trafficking ring, the sex rings, big money. Freaking people want to be talking about and pushing back on. It just blows my freaking mind. Eat some humble pie. Do some research on some important topics. Something less selfish. Something bigger than you. Now, I don't mean that to my muzzle chat warriors that are doing everything they can, supporting what we're doing, getting this message out there. God bless you and every one of you. I can only imagine. Well, I've gotten quite a bit of positive feedback throughout the whole adventure so far. We are having a difference. We are making a difference. Now, covering that line item, I want to do far better and have far greater impact than we currently are. And we can achieve that together, no matter what even algorithm is against us. We just got to set down kind of what we're doing and pushing just a little further than we have before. The women and children and the human trafficking, these are individuals that aren't even included into that 88 million that are being raped and murdered. We touched on crime and violence being up in this country. That is an indisputable fact with this open border policy. Just even think of that. Even maybe the most decent individual that's crossing that border, they're doing it illegally. They have no regard for our laws. They don't care about our laws. What other laws are they willing to break? Who is paying for these criminals? It's no secret that cell phones have been divvied out, pamphlets, cards, credit cards, debit cards, gift cards. They've been put up in some of our nicest hotels. They've been given EBT cards with even tens of thousands of dollars on them. It's unbelievable. I mean, on that point, why are we treating criminals that are invading our country better than our veterans? That is... Yeah, I could see why Americans are demoralized. The system has been turned against them. I could see how that could feed into why work my ass off when I'm getting taxed 7 ways to Sunday. We've allowed it to get to this state. We can dig ourselves out of it, but it takes it a collective. And the question becomes, are you willing to do your part? It's what we're trying to achieve here. Help bridge that gap for the working American and create those solutions for you and together. Did mention it, but the fentanyl crisis, drugs, more than 100,000 Americans are dying now each year from fentanyl. I know a few individuals, they had close ones, one individual or 2 close ones that died from fentanyl. It's no freaking joke. Actual human trafficking and slavery. It's been said many times by many experts that slavery now is more rampant today than ever before in human history regarding America. People want to just turn a blind eye to that fact or not do the research to where they actually believe that to be fact. It's unbelievable. By the sheer numbers that are coming in, it's indisputable as well. Just by sheer numbers of people that have no historical anything to do with this country, this is in fact diluting the patriotic backbone of this country. Period. It is. And that's where I'm stating, like, the actual impacts are incomprehensible. we can't even fathom. But it's being intentionally done. And there's been think tanks behind all of this. And then obviously the plan, the dangers it poses to our elections, and what Democrats are openly trying to do about that is so damning. And then I want to circle back to that whole language barrier thing again, because it was also talked about, and this individual shared that, I mean, it's pretty just common sense, basic common sense and basic knowledge that for any relationship to flourish, what does it really boil down to? In any relationship, even marriage, communication. Communication's key. For a relationship, for some townsfolk, for a community, for a city, for a nation, communication is key. Why do you think evil's fighting so hard to censor communication? Could they also be trying to dilute the native tongue of this country in a huge way? So, yes, like regarding vetting, a language barrier, it's a no-brainer. It's absolutely a no-brainer. To argue otherwise is literally insane. Because then now you're not valuing communication, nor what, in fact, has been established in this country. I do find that level of arrogance appalling, and all this an insult to the hardworking Americans that built this country, that are still out there working on this country, working to save this country. All the heroes. Now, what proof do we need? What receipts should we even bring? Because it's endless. It's truly endless.
It's not just the economic impact, Larry. It's also impacting our national identity, our national morale. A nation without borders is not a nation. But here's the good news. This is something.
So he brings up some great points. We can add that into, the description portion. I mean, even Joe Rogan kind of talks out on the point of it.
Like when you start thinking about it like that, that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's like totally political, all these moves.
100%.
Yeah.
They're literally importing Democratic voters.
Yeah.
They think by allowing the borders to be porous and by giving people aid and giving people housing that you're essentially guaranteeing that if you can rig it so that those people are allowed to vote, those people are going to vote Democratic. And if you could say that, voter ID is racist, like, what? Voter ID is racist.
That's crazy, but they think that. And they don't think that. They don't think that. They know that that's not.
Actually, I'd venture to say some are brainwashed to where they actually feel it is racist. But the ones really behind, that verbiage, no. It's a way of manipulating. They don't believe that. They're just effectively trying their best to manipulate to obviously have their desired outcome. Simple as that.
That's true.
It's horseshit.
Yeah.
It's all political horseshit.
Like when you start
Yes,
thinking.
it is. Let's play the Tucker one again because it's so powerful. Okay, here we go again.
The numbers you need to understand. Yale University released a study last week by 3 researchers, all of them liberal, I believe, who concluded that the actual number of illegal aliens in this country is not 11 million. It's north of 22 million. 22 million.
I just heard on Stu Peters talk north of 40 million, but I still feel confident it's north of 30, not 22, 30. Such a vast number. Not vetted at all. That's a problem.
Fact 1. Fact 2. The Democratic Party is now, as a matter of policy, calling for the legalization of all illegals in this country. Citizenship voting rights. 22 million new voters. Fact 3. The overwhelming majority of first-time immigrant voters vote Democrat. Fact 4. The largest margin in American presidential history was 17 million votes. 1984 election between Mondale and Reagan.
And Reagan, yeah.
17 million. You would add to our voter rolls 22 million at least permanent electoral majority in perpetuity. That's what this is about. It's not about making the country better, serving our labor needs, helping the population. It's about putting Democrats in power forever. That is the truth of our immigration debate. Period.
Wow. You know what? That just reminded me with Vivek We're actually going to jump back to this clip because he touches on something powerful here.
Funding Central America and those countries until they've actually stopped the northward flow of migrants from Venezuela to the southern border of Texas, end birthright citizenship for the kids of illegals, and stop funding sanctuary cities. That ends the incentives to be here illegally. And then, yes, it is logical. It is not racist or xenophobic. It is purely logical that if we have had the largest influx of illegal migrants in American history, then we need the largest mass deportation of those illegals in American history. That's going to help the economy, actually, but
100%. Oh, there's so much. Should I play the clips on all these Marine on the border? Talks about it's guaranteed terrorists are here. There's multiple professionals talking about terrorists already being here, and the percentage doesn't matter, and we're not vetting them, so how would we even know the percentage? We don't have a country. It's not a country without a border. Now, ideally, it would be nice to live in a world where a border isn't necessary. It's like nice to live in a world where we didn't need locks on our doors. But that's not the reality of the world we live in. So get back into the reality of this world we live in. More terrorists actually caught in this country. Lo and behold, many terrorists. Have they caught them all? No. Here's another sheriff speaking out on terrorists crossing the border right here in Arizona. He's the sheriff of Pima County. Another reporting on a terrorist caught that was planning on nuking New York City. He admits to it. Unbelievable. You know what I think we need? We need more leaders, more examples such as this man. Let's go ahead and play this. I like this man. He's a Canadian and he speaks out on what's happening up there, but it applies 100% what's going on here. And more men need to freaking, do I say it? Grow a pair, speak up, stand up. If you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. Evil wins when good men do nothing. We can go on and on.
I don't know about the rest of you folks, but I certainly am embarrassed and ashamed to call myself a Canadian right about now. We're the laughing stock of the entire fucking world. Thanks to Justin Trudeau and his fucking entourage of morons up there in Parliament Hill. The corruption in this country runs right to the smallest roots of our governmental system, from a municipal level to a provincial level, and right up to them coke-sniffing sons of bitches on Parliament Hill.
Right.
Our judicial system, our legal system, and them fuckheads that call themselves law enforcement. They're all fucking corrupt. They keep proving that to us time and time again. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. It's the time that we draw the line in the sand. We stand hard and fast. We don't budge. And we push back against these sons of bitches. We are being run by an outside entity, the World Economic Forum and their 2030 agenda. Accept the fucking fact, and accept the fact that we need to expel them sons of bitches from this country as fast as we can in order to protect this country and the future generations that are coming. I love each and every one of you. But this shit's gotta stop. We have to stop it.
It is up to us. We must stop it. Are we gonna do that? All right, that other clip, it's too far off. We're not gonna bother. You know what? There was this powerful one. This man speaks some truth into some of the brainwashed. Actually, my heart goes out to the young lady with her very piss poor answer. It's not even logical. It's beyond even emotional. She's been poisoned spiritually. Give this a listen.
Or, let me ask you a question. Would you vote for?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm going to just be real honest with this. She's a black woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to what somebody was saying, where it's not voting for someone, but majority will vote for somebody else just to.
Wait. Hold on. Let me line this out.
I think
Is
majority.
it only because she a black woman?
Yeah.
Do you not see how that's a bad idea?
Elaborate.
Okay, so we're in 3 proxy wars with some of the most powerful leaders in the world. She failed at the border, in which we have an estimation of 15 to 20 million people illegally into this country.
More than that.
That is literally overtaking and bankrupting Chicago to the tune of over $400 million per year, and they're in a deficit. Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't with the stupid. I can't. That someone has drank the racist Kool-Aid to a point that they would just strictly vote on skin pigmentation to their own detriment, where we are struggling more intentionally due to this installed cabal, whatever you want to call it, establishment. And people are so brainwashed. That's the only thing that they would still go off of. It really does sadden my heart. It does show the poison Satan himself has spewed into beautiful people's being.
Oakland is going out of business. San Francisco ditto. California, $65 billion deficit. New York, they're literally cutting trash, in which they are the rattiest, dirtiest city. And they've taken up resources as far as free healthcare, free hotels to the tune of $600 a day. They're literally taking over your schools. Your taxpayer dollars are going to fund the migrant crisis. She was supposed to be in charge of this. We have a failing economy. Every single day I see people getting on the internet talking about $30 an hour is the new minimum wage because inflation is fucking out of control. At one point, it was at almost 10%, depending on what city that you were. She has no policy, no record to stand on. One of the biggest things that she did in her career was lock up more black men than ever before. But we sit here and vote her in office on identity politics. The very person that she was under as far as the president of the United States of America, she called him racist during the debate, which shows you how fake she is. And the only thing that we can stand on from a policy perspective is whether or not she's black and she's a woman.
Wow.
We did that during the Obama administration, and he didn't do anything for black people. As a matter of fact, y'all complain because the only person that he did, or the only group of people that he really stood for is the alphabet community, and that's his landmark thing that he's still standing on today. So the only thing that we have to stand on is identity politics. That shit didn't work with Tiffany Henyard in Dayton, Illinois. It didn't work with Karen Bass. It didn't work with Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. It didn't work with Brandon Johnson that then took over her position in Chicago. It didn't work with Andre Dickens in Atlanta. It didn't work with Eric Adams in New York. It doesn't work across the country. Every single Democratic city is a hellhole. And we sitting here talking about identity politics?
Truth. Well done, brother. Would love to have you on the podcast. Are you freaking kidding me? Let's go. That was a great little rant, mic drop. We're going to skip all that. I hope the American workers understand where I'm clearly coming from. And I am so grateful to the blue collar workers born, bred, and that historically built this great nation. I thank all of you. I thank your families. We have been on the receiving end of 5th generation war tactics for a long time now. So let's not allow ourselves to be replaced. Let's not allow ourselves to accept the diminished state we now effectively are in. And let's rise above the challenges. And I get it's challenging when you got health issues. I very vulnerably expressed the challenges I faced with this bioweapon. I didn't see this coming. No one really sees these health things coming, but we gotta up our health. And I keep attributing my greatest breakthroughs, even on the health side, spending over $100,000 on illness, more than the medical side of things, and doctors and the things of this world. The greatest breakthroughs, even medically, are through the Bible. The truths in the Bible and our loving God in heaven. All glory to God. That being said, I want to share this video. This is a short one. This young lady, mic drop, she gets it. Beautiful gal, beautiful message. Enjoy this one.
God never told you to follow your heart. He said the heart is deceitful, so follow him. He never told you to live your own truth. He said to live his truth, because he is truth. He never told you to love how you love. He said love how Christ loves. God never told you to follow your heart. He said the heart is deceitful, so follow him. He never told you to live your own truth. He said to live his truth, because he is truth. He never told you to love how you love. He said love how Christ loves.
So well said, young lady. My goodness. It's little things like that makes all this worth it, right? Well, it feels a little better getting some of that off of my chest. Now, I'm not trying to be confrontational, trying to prioritize things in effective ways that we're not still drinking the Kool-Aid that they've been poisoning us with our freaking whole lives. Let's rise above that. Okay, 1 minute prayers. I believe we haven't done this one yet. Cooperation. Seeking your work in others. In all my prayers, for all of you, I always pray with joy because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to competition until the day of Christ Jesus. Philippians 1:4-6. The prayer reads, God, my insecurities can rise to the surface when I face competition in any arena. I put in a lot of time and I am very committed to my job, but this effort should never distort my view of other people and their worth. Let me see in all people the good work you have begun in their hearts. Let that be how I relate to them at all times, as a fellow child of God, not as a competitor or opponent. Serving you in the church requires my commitment to kindness and graciousness. Lead me to encourage other people and look for the good in them at all times. Amen. That is a tough lens to walk around with and perspective to have, but it's so important that we do our best to obtain that lens. Folks, thank you so much for your support. We're going to start kicking some butt. We even have some awesome guests lining up. There's big things happening regarding awareness and Lyme disease and these other groups and other podcasts that we're already now supporting and helping kick off, and hopefully we'll start affiliating with all these groups more and more and just really create a positive momentum. All that being said, it's important we take more action, whether it's sharing this episode, whether it's calling Patriot Mobile. We all have a cellular network. Patriot Mobile is the only Christian conservative mobile network out there. Look at their website, click on the link below, see what they're involved in. Maybe then you'll be like, you know what, information won't hurt me. I'm going to give them a call. I'm going to give them the discount code unmuzzled or unmuzzled chat and see what they have to offer. At minimum, see what they have to offer. Check them out. Try them out. I'm hearing nothing but positive things for people that make that switch. It's action like that that will shift this tide, I'm telling you. Other than that, we talked a lot on this episode is how we're diminished. We gotta get that back. Our life force, our energy, our strength on an individual level in this country. We need it. We need the best version of you yesterday. It's important we watch what we put in our mouths. Food, water. But we've built up a high level of toxicity. bond charge, and the infrared sauna blanket can help detoxify the body and ramp up the natural way the body gets rid of these things. And you're getting 15% off. Click on the link below. Follow its prompts. You can enhance the detoxing by adding in the tincture masterpiece that helps eradicate all metals and even forever chemicals. Now, I've had 2 individuals already reach back out to me, very impressed with Unchained Wellness. So if you happen to be in Arizona and you just want to check up and their AO scan, I'm telling you, like, everything I'm hearing back, it's just my jaw's hitting the floor. It is very impressive. So give them a call, schedule your free sauna and cold plunge session. Don't be scared. Get in that cold plunge. It's little steps like that where it's mind over body. When you're done, you're just lit up. You're fueled. We have been weakened with the auto climate controls and we've been pampered. Let's get some of that grit back, America. We need it. It is so awesome. Such a blessing to now have onboarded American reserves. I now ate their cheesy macaroni. I'm not typically, I'm kind of doing the carnivore thing, so I kind of broke that to eat it. Delicious. I actually ate the whole serving, and it might have been for 2 or 3 people in one sitting. But I'm losing weight, so I need to do something about that. Delicious. I did one of their oatmeal breakfast things. What was it? But it was very good. I hate all that as well. I even pulled this out of there, and this is feels like, yeah, it's free froze dried. These bins are packed so full. When I got to this and repack, I actually had to play Tetris just to get the lid closed, even with 3 meals pulled out of it. It was crazy. Very efficiently done. And you can save 10% off any of the discounts they currently have. Just click the link below, type in Unmuzzled, and check out. You'll get that 10% off. It is crucial that we have some water and food preparedness. Period. We've been blessed in this country for a very long time, and I know a lot of us have yet to really even experience what it feels like to go hungry. Some of us may have done some of the fasting bit and they have a general idea, but to really be hungry, starving even, let's not put ourselves in that position. Let's get prepared and let's help those around us be prepared. Let's secure these investments by getting an EMP shield on your vehicle. So come that day, you can transport all your investments. You aren't stuck leaving investments at home. By clicking the link below, you can get $50 off every single one of those. I believe it's still, to this day, the most important singular preparedness investment you can make. To this day. Don't wait. Other than that, this right here, Second Amendment. This is Black Eagle Apparel. Best darn t-shirt in the freaking market. Even with losing weight, I mean, it fits pretty darn good. Go get yourself some Freedom merch, and we would love your support by getting an Unmuzzled Chat t-shirt and embody that. Walk around, be unmuzzled, express to people that ask what being unmuzzled is all about, and then have them obviously join the podcast and the movement. I love you guys. I look forward to serving you to the best of my ability each and every day I can. God bless you. God bless America. Until next time, take care.